Hey guys, did you miss me? Today we'll be talking about stuff from Set 5. Set 5 really, I haven't really talked about it all. The Discord's been pretty silent about it, so I'm coming out with it now, showing some spoilers, some ideas for cards that I have. Going into this, just know that some of these cards are going to be prone to change as we test them on untapped.in. If you want to play test some of these cards, join our Discord, link in the description. There'll be more information there. And also on our new website, which has a database of all the cards, which will include Set 5 cards fairly soon. So one of the new mechanics in Set 5 is a mechanic called Level Up. You can see it here in the Raid to ROM set of cards. As you can see, the art box is extended for these Level Up cards. This is not a change to the card frame in general. This only applies to cards that have the Level Up mechanic. As you can see, there's a little dark bar on all the Level Up cards with a mana cost and name of another card. When a Level Up card is in play, you can pay the Level Up cost to discard it and transform it into the named card. For example, Raid the Son of Babylon, you can pay 1 dark and 2 gray to transform it into Raid the Marquis of Limbo. Some things to keep note for these transformation cards is because it's technically the same card and you're transforming it, any damage on the old card transfers over to the new card. So for example, if Yaros, King of the Endalls, has damage on it and he transforms into Yara, God of Justice, the damage would transfer over. That also applies to buffs as well. So if Yaros has 2 +100/+100 counters on it and it transforms into the God of Justice, Yara, God of Justice now has +200/+200 thanks to its previous incarnation. And again, whenever you transform a card, you sacrifice it, sending the copy to the graveyard. With this Level Up mechanic, we're introducing 5 God cards for each one of the elements. These God cards are all level ups, and you benefit more from starting in the lower version, or the weaker version of the God, and leveling it up into the stronger version. So for example, we have Natural Selection and Gemda. Gemda by himself is very strong. Having an indestructible Predator card for 6 is very good. However, if you read his ability, he has, whenever an ally your opponent controls dies, you may return target ally from your graveyard to your hand. This basically mitigates the main downside of his previous incarnation, Natural Selection. So if you play Natural Selection and trigger that multiple times, and then transform it into Gemda, Gemda becomes a lot more valuable to your playstyle. Here's a quick screen grab of all 5 God cards. They are all very strong. We're planning to tweak some of their stats and abilities, but I encourage you guys to play test them on Untap. I think they're very good and a lot of fun. Yes, they are all indestructible, but that can be easily mitigated by a couple of ways. First, if you reduce their HP down to 0 outside of damage. So if you use a card like Vaporize, for example, which reduces its stats, and that goes down to 0, they have to sacrifice it, regardless if it's indestructible or not. Also, abilities that force people to sacrifice allies can target gods. So, for example, Nailhead here, our little zombie buddy, if they only control a god, they have to sacrifice it, which would destroy it. And the last way, of course, is banishing the card. For example, Righteous Smite. Since Righteous Smite isn't actually destroying it, but instead banishing it, you can target gods with it. So yeah, very tricky, but not unstoppable. There is also a new mechanic for spell cards called Ripple. Whenever you cast a spell, you may pay its Ripple cost instead of its mana cost, if it isn't the first card you've played this turn. Let's say you play a Stitched Ghoul for 1. Now, all your cards that have Ripple will cost less because you played that Stitched Ghoul earlier. So now Eghth, you don't have to pay the extra gray mana for it, and you just have to pay a water and X. Or with Wildfire, instead of paying 2 fire and 2 gray, you could just pay 1 fire and 2 gray. The Ripple mechanic will appear in all elements as long as they have spell cards, but they will be much more common in fire and water decks and less common in earth and dark decks. So keep that in mind. And to finish off this sort of showcase, I would like to show you a couple new cards that I'm personally proud of. First of all, if you guys are familiar with the rare from the Vercillion set, Terminate, a very strong AoE destruction spell, we now have a dark equivalent. People in Discord pointed out that the dark element is much better at destroying allies on a mass scale than air, so they should have an equivalent. So here we go. Instead of Terminate, you have Annihilate, which does the same thing, except it's dark. You're welcome. Another cool card that I think many decks are looking for is a relic card called Moon Mirror. For 5 gray, you have a relic artifact, which has Exhaust, create 1 gray mana for each ally you currently control. Very strong in air token decks. Some cards that come to mind is Colonel B. Marshall and Empress Alexandra. With Moon Mirror, you can get a ton of mana thanks to all your tokens. Very effective strategy, I think. And I'm excited to see this in some competitive decks. I've saved the weirdest for last. In the 5th set, we're going to have multi-elemental legendary cards for each elemental combination. Here's some examples here. My favorites include Barrier the Exiled, Sarin Flesh Sculptor, and my absolute favorite, the Mystery Cat. It's like a Wild Hunt, but a cat. Come on, guys. But with all these multi-elemental themes that we're going in this set, I would like to introduce to you the first 5-element card, Jacobi the Eghth Archmage. Now what I'm showing you right now is a prototype. We've never had a card that uses all 5 elements, so we're trying to test out what the card frame should look like and the correct coloration and elemental symbols. So this might change in the future, but I really like the bronze aesthetic that these cards have. That's probably not going anywhere. His ability might change though. It seems very strong. Yeah, so that's just a brief overview of some of the cards coming up in set 5. I'm really excited for this, and there's going to be more spoilers to come. I'll keep more stuff posted on the database. Get ready for that. And I'll see you guys later and in the Discord.